Cardinals baseball on FSN Midwest, brought to you by Busch. Smooth Busch beer, easy drinking, Busch Light. By Auto Tire, the tire pros. For the lowest bottom line price, you ought to go to Auto Tire. By Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. By Geico, 15 minutes can save you 15% on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Southwest Airlines, with more flights to more places than ever before, Southwest is taking low fares farther. Visit southwest.com. Well, here we are, and how's tonight going to turn out? The Cubs have had the fun the first two nights. As Dan mentioned in our pregame show, the Cubs have not swept a three-game or more series here in St. Louis since 1988. Lou Piniella is trying to do just that. Here's his lineup, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. They lead it off with Alfonso Soriano. Ryan Theriot batting second. Derek Lee hitting third. Aramis Ramirez cleans up. Cliff Floyd in right. Mike Fontenot, the second baseman. Jock Jones has hit over 500 against the Cardinals this season. He is batting seventh. Hitting eighth, Jason Kendall and Jason Marquis. Pitching and batting ninth in the Rico half of the starting pitching matchup. From the Cardinals side is right-hander Braden Looper.
Well, Braden, at innings total mounting up, he only threw in the 70s a year ago. His career high is 86 with Florida. So you got to keep an eye on that stress on his arm. And he was pitching much better after the disabled list, but he had a rough outing in Atlanta his last time out.
Take a look at the Cardinals defensively. They try to back up the guy who we're worried about all those innings and pitches starting to pile up. Auto Tire around the horn. You've got Duncan in left, Edmonds in center, Encarnacion. Roland Eckstein, Miles, and Pujols and Yadier Molina does the catching. You saw those numbers from Braden's last start on Saturday against Atlanta. Could not get 3 innings under his belt. Soriano, I like that. He hangs over the plate more than just about any hitter in the game, and Braden Looper straightens him up. So ball one, and the next from the Cardinal right-hander is ripped, righted rolling. One away, and a good break for Braden Looper as that ball was smoked.
See, off the line, and that had a lot of top spin on it, so Scotty went up, got it before it started coming down, and no matter how you get that first out, just get it.
Got it with 2 pitches, and Theriot will dig his way in. Derek Lee on deck. Cubs are 13-4 in their last 17 games, and with a win tonight, they'd be only 1 game out in the NL Central behind Milwaukee, and Milwaukee will stroll into town tonight. May even already be here. Played a day game at Cincinnati today, and it'll be a 4-game weekend set against the Cardinals. There's a strike from Looper, and 1 ball, 1 strike on Theriot.
You know, one of the interesting things is when Chicago leaves St. Louis, they go to Cincinnati, and they say they have had one heck of a time beating the Reds, and in particular beating them in Cincinnati.
Good pitch, strike 2.
Well, Lou Piniella's club is feeling good about themselves, but somewhere in the back of their mind they were going, they still got to beat those other teams like the Reds.
I'll say this, Lou, we talked about this 2 nights ago, that Lou Piniella said to both of us individually at separate times as Theriot bounces a 2-hopper over to Roland, 2 out. You know, he said, I bet we've changed 50% of our roster from the beginning of the season. And it's an old story by now, but what I want to add to it is when you're around this Cubs team, it feels different than it did earlier in the season. And Lou Piniella has changed the attitude of this club altogether. And the guy that just grounded out Theriot, along with Mike Fontenot, is a big part of their turnaround.
Right. Some of the youngsters have added some energy to the team. But I think it's also, as you said, to me, the biggest acquisition that these Cubs have had is Lou Piniella, and what the attitude. He waited all through spring training, about the first part of the season, and said, wait a minute, I don't like the way this organization thinks. You have to start changing the mindset. And, you know, one thing about Lou Piniella, he's a winner.
Tom Mee, our director, found somebody in the crowd tonight with a Michael Barrett jersey. He has been subtracted, so it's not just what's been added, but what's been taken off the Chicago team as well. And Barrett, with the publicized fight with Zambrano, is now out in San Diego.
And Joe, one of the things about Michael Barrett or any catcher for the Cubs, Lou Piniella is very, very demanding of that position. Some guys can handle it better than others, and maybe that was part of Barrett's problems and reason they had to add by subtraction.
Think about Lou Piniella as Lee strikes out. He was Rookie of the Year in 1969. The next year, Thurman Munson, his teammate, he could handle that position. No score after a half. Oh, it's too bad we didn't come back a little earlier. I just saw Scott Rowland smiling down there in the dugout. Need to smile a little more around here, and let's take a look back at the top of the first.
Well, if you start out a game like this, you'll see smiles. There he busting Soriano inside, set up away, but the ball goes inside. That sure looks effective. And then to Derek Lee, he just throws a good fastball with movement. He throws right by him. So Braden Looper looks like he's got a little life early in this game.
And there you go. That's as clever as they've become in the big leagues. Just some sort of brush or spike to get the dirt out of the spikes as he sits down in the dugout bench. And here's the Advance Auto Parts numbers and pitching matchup from the Cubs. Jason Marquis.
Chasing out a good start. Then he had a rough spell. A lot of no decisions. A few losses in there, but he's come back strong with his last time out. He defeated Arizona 7 2/3, 4 hits, 2 runs earned. And the one thing they're saying is incorporating a real slow breaking ball, kind of a get-ahead breaking ball, but trying to pitch a little bit more.
Eckstein's going to greet him with a base hit. He just flips out into right center field. Good start for the Cardinals. David Eckstein back near the 300 mark. Let's take a look at the Cardinal lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Eckstein, you know, Edmonds is digging in as we speak. Albert Pujols sitting third. Then Chris Duncan cleans up, and Encarnacion had a big night, and he has had a good week and a half. Rowland, Molina, Miles, and Looper at the back end of it. And here is Edmonds. There's been a lot said in the paper talking about the quote-unquote MVP. Names like Edmonds, Pujols, and Rowland, a combined 1 for 19 in this series. That may be the easiest stolen base in the life of Eckstein and maybe in the history of baseball.
Wow.
Eckstein was over halfway to second base before Marquis even moved.
You'll see right there, I mean, he had no business throwing that pitch. Jason Kendall is not the greatest thrower, and 0 for 6 now since he's come to the Cubbies, but that was definitely off of Marquis.
So Edmonds, fooled on the pitch, flies to center, and Jones will get in position to throw. Eckstein's going to test his arm and make it. So Edmonds advances Eckstein. He's at third with 1 out.
Well, let me say something right now. David Eckstein is starting to take things in his own hands and trying to give the Cardinals a lead all by himself.
Take a look at the auto tire defense for the Cubs. Soriano is to Jones's right, Cliff Floyd to his left. Ramirez, Terrio, Fontenot, Lee, Jason Kendall catches for Marquis, and Eckstein is, well, he was ready for the start of this game.
He was ready. Jock Jones, I'm not sure, was particularly ready as he's kind of standing. Well, he kind of got in position to throw, but then he didn't assume that Eckstein was going to take off, and there was that slight hesitation. Usually he throws a little offline.
Pujols has had a number of these opportunities in this series, and there he is flailing at a pitch that's nowhere close to the strike zone. Strike one.
Well, he had good boring action in on his hands and really just kept on coming in. But you're right, Albert, 0 for 9 in the series.
Runner at third, 1 out. So important to get that first run home against Marquis, and that's down and in. You know, it's interesting to think of what Eckstein did. He went after the first pitch, then gets the base hit. He basically walks down to second with Marquis frozen there, and Eckstein, I'm sure, is under Marquis' skin a little bit, but now it's up to Pujols to try and bring home David and give the Cardinals the lead. They've had a short-lived lead one time in this series. That's a little roller down the first baseline. Bad break as it just kicks foul. That would have put the Cards on top.
Once again, Albert way out in front and hits the ball right off the end of the bat. Chalk it up. Maybe it stays fair, but it goes foul right in front of the first base bag.
That's the way things are going right now.
Sure. but sometimes you can make your own breaks. Eckstein's trying to do it, trying to jumpstart this offense. But see, successful 14 out of 29, not the best ratio, and the last few times he has not come through. All we know about is what he's going to do tonight. That's all we really care about.
Eckstein hoping that he gets a chance to trot home. 1-2 pitch. And a pop-up. First base side. Lee's got a chance at it and makes another terrific catch. He's done that twice in this series, and Pujols leaves Eckstein at third. 2 out. It's up to Duncan.
So, Derek Lee, a 3-time Gold Glove winner, injured most of last season. That's kind of opened the door for Albert. He got his first Gold Glove, but he's more concerned and frustrated not coming through in this situation. Golden opportunity to get on the board, and now it's going to take a 2-out base hit. But weren't we talking about 2-out base hits, how they score runs?
That's what the Cubs have had. Duncan is sawed off and didn't get out of the box, so Terrio has all day. Cardinals had a runner at second, nobody out. Marquis gets around it after 1, no score. Well, fans, maybe you know it, maybe you don't. Tonight's telecast from FSN Midwest, available in high definition. Contact your cable or satellite provider for more information. HD carriers tonight include Charter Communications, channel 792 in the St. Louis area, and Dish Network on channel 368. Jason Marquis did a nice job of getting out of trouble after Eckstein did all he could to try to put Braden Looper and St. Louis on top.
You know, in that April 27th game here at Busch, where Jason Marquis won, talked about the Felix PA home run, but Ramirez also hit a home run, and isn't it interesting? There has not been a home run yet in this series.
That's hard to believe. But these two clubs have played 2+ games, and nobody's gone deep. Here's a 1-0 to Ramirez from Looper, and that's off the end of the bat. Last night it was Ted Lilly. Tonight it's Jason Marquis. The other big addition from a year ago, Alfonso Soriano. The Cubs spent a lot of money in the offseason. May or may not add payroll here at the trading deadline as they try and fortify themselves for a charge at the division in postseason. But the Cubs spent a lot of money along with some of the younger guys that they've brought up and the change in attitude, and the money that they have spent has come front and center in this series alone.
Come on, since when is $300 million a lot of money?
Yeah. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Aramis Ramirez takes outside. Ramirez, another guy that got some of that money as they re-upped with Aramis and made sure that he was going to stay in a Cubs uniform.
Yeah, you know how rare it is. The last time these two teams played back-to-back games without a home run, last time was consecutive matchups was in 1991.
From the hole, Eckstein gets it there just in time, just enough. And Ramirez is shaking his head as he heads back to the dugout. Good play by Eckstein deep in the hole.
And David goes there, sets up, gets on top of the ball and gives it all he's got. And Ramirez was really hustling down the line, just gets him at the wire.
You know, you watch Eckstein go to that ball, and you watch him warm up before games, throw long toss, try and build up his arm strength, and you think there's no way he's going to be able to get it over to first in time, and he always just seems to get the guy just enough.
Yeah, if he has sometimes a more difficult play, it's just like a half step, but sometimes on a very easy play, he just beats the guy by a half step. But Kendo's worked with him with that. The medical staff has worked on strengthening his shoulder and arm. Perfect placement.
Perfect placement. This one easier for David. Had Cliff Floyd played up the middle, and he was right there for that high hopper. So 2 out, and the batter will be Mike Fontenot. Cardinals host the division-leading Brewers for an important 4-game series this weekend. Great seats can be purchased for all 4 games. Check out the Prime Seat Club at stlcardinals.com.
Once again, it's a split day-night doubleheader on Saturday, and you need a ticket for each game. First game will be the postponed game in April, and the nightcap, which will change from a 6:15 to a 7:10, is the regular scheduled July 28th game.
Good start to this one for Looper.
Really, I mean, he's hitting his spots, he's changing speeds. Of course, last night, I don't think Wainwright could have been any more perfect through the first 10 batters. He struck out 6 of them before it all caved in.
0-2 to Fontenot, playing second base tonight. Played there last night. Game 1 of this series, it was DeRosa.
And DeRosa came out of that game with an injury. And so Fontenot's got a chance to play.
Good changeup. And down goes Fontenot. Down go the Cubs. They still do not have a base runner in this game. The Cardinals will have Encarnacion, Roland, and Molina. Bottom of the second, no score.
Spring race.
Juan Encarnacion is about to lead it off. Hopefully he can stay hot. And so far, you have to like the way Braden Looper started this game. Yeah,
you really like the way Looper started the game. You like the way Eckstein started it. But it's still scoreless, as Marquis had something to say. He didn't. He bent a little bit, but didn't crack.
So Encarnacion, Roland, and Molina. And Marquis brings a strike. He's always had great stuff, Jason Marquis, and he's been frustrating at times. But I'll say this for the guy, and what has been driven home point-wise for the Cardinals this year is you can say what you want about the inconsistency with a guy like Marquis. Certainly the inconsistency of a guy like Weaver, who's been inconsistent his entire career. Not the case with Suppan, but those 3 guys, when they walked away, took a lot of innings pitched with them. And the Cardinals have been trying to run uphill and figure that out all season long. Back to the mound, Encarnacion is taken care of by Jason Marquis. 1 out. Sports Ultimate Nightly Highlight Show, the FSN Final Score. The only national show that gives you nothing but wall-to-wall highlights. The FSN Final Score tonight at 10:30 on FSN Midwest. The Cardinals, Al, have been looking for innings out of their rotation, consistent innings pitched, and they have not gotten that all year.
And it's amazing how well the bullpen has performed. And if you go back to 04, when they won 105 games, they had the fewest innings pitched from the bullpen because the starters gave so many innings like you're talking. And the Cardinal bullpen had the best ERA in the National League. You know, Franklin's done a good job. Springer's been a very valuable addition. Now you've got, you know, Percival, another guy that can eat up some innings down there.
To say nothing of the guy who had the bad hip last year, Isringhausen, who's been sensational. Roland flies to right, 2 out. But all the while, I mean, this for Tony La Russa, I mean, we can't come on the air 2 nights ago and say this is a big week for the Cardinals with the Cubs and the Brewers coming to town, and then see how things have unfolded to this point, and now realize that this is critical time right now. And if the Cardinals don't figure out play better and get some wins here in the next couple of days, the trading deadline coming up, in my mind, there's no doubt that the Cardinals can be anything but sellers on that market.
Exactly right. But and Tony will be the first to tell you that even if it went well and you win 7 straight games, if you don't win the series after that and give it all back, and you know, realistically, no matter what happens this week, you got to really look and say, do they have enough pitching to have winning streaks that they need to get back in the race? And the answer is no.
Right. I agree with you. It's just not there. And we talked about all the money that the Cubs spent over the offseason, and some could say maybe overspent at times, but the money they paid Soriano, the money they paid Marquis, the money they paid Ted Lilly, the money they paid Aramis Ramirez, they re-upped with Derek Lee. I mean, they threw some money out there, and this team right now is poised to put all the pressure they can on the Milwaukee Brewers. 2 hops to Ramirez. Out at first as Molina trots down to first base. Off we go into the third. Cards and Cubs, no score. No score after a couple. Top of the third inning. Braden Looper goes back to work. This Chinook stayed in baseball history with his 44th home run on this date in '98. A particularly good year for Mark McGwire. He surpassed Johnny Mize as the all-time Cardinals single season home run leader. He ended up with 70. So he still had a little ways to go.
Remember Johnny Mize's nickname?
Yeah.
I'll give you a clue.
Okay, give me a clue.
Jim Hayes.
The Cat?
Big Cat.
Because there's only one The Cat.
The Cat or the Little Cat. But the Cat.
Wasn't Harry Burkeen's nickname The Cat, too? There's Felix the Cat. There's Emil the Cat
sounds
Francis.
Like that. Harry the Hat Walker.
Okay,
Cat.
Here's a 1-1 to Jock Jones. Strike 2 from Braden Looper. Cubs don't have a base runner yet. Looper struck out the last hitter in each of the first 2 innings.
So you're talking about the difference. The Cubs a year ago, they were 39-60 after 99 games. This year, 45. Excuse me, that's the Cardinals. 39-60 this year. They're 53-40.
And seemingly getting better by the week, taking bigger jumps away from the 500 mark as a 2-2 pitch has popped up. Into left center field. Edmonds runs a mile to come in and get it. That's like Kelly Leak in Bad News Bears. Cutting in front of Lupus out there.
Yeah, but you like to see that. He's the center field. He's the one that takes charge out there.
And that's not to say anything about Duncan, who
No.
we have praised certainly. Even the other night, he's done a nice job in left field. But that's one of those, if you can get to it, might as well have Edmonds haul it in.
Yeah, one guy's an 8-time Gold Glove winner, and the other one's working hard to improve his game, and dramatically has.
Here's a pitch down and away to Jason Kendall with 1 out, nobody on. Jason, it hasn't gone well here. He is 0 for 4 in this series. 1 hit as a Cub, and hasn't really hit anything hard since the Cubs got to St. Louis. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Now, his 1 hit was on Sunday before they came to town, and you can see
there's a little flare into left, and it will fall in front of Duncan. We mentioned the other night Chris plays a deep left, and that did not allow him to get in for that broken bat flare that fell in front of him. Best damn Sports Show period. Chris Rose, John Sally, Rob Dibble, Rodney Peete. Tonight at 11 on FSN Midwest. Here comes Marquis. We all know how good of a hitter Jason Marquis is. So far this season, he's hitting a .159. He is a much better hitter than he is bunter. He really has never, Al, been a very good bunter for as well as he can swing the bat.
No, you're right. He's .215 career hitter, 76 lifetime hits, 3 lifetime home runs, and 30 RBIs, 2 sacks this year, and 17 in his career. But uses a pinch hitter on occasion, and he's a very good athlete.
Check on the runner Kendall to see if Marquis was going to bunt, just like we have said many times with La Russa making the calls with Marquis. Who knows what Piniella will do in this situation. On deck is Soriano, a big-time RBI guy in the leadoff spot. They let Marquis swing, and he hacks at that pitch up around the letters. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Came up shaking his right wrist, but you know, Lou Piniella, I would imagine he'd be out of that Earl Weaver mode that doesn't like to give away outs. And if you have a guy like Marquis that can help himself, on occasion he'd switch off, and especially if the defense like rolling charging in.
A 1-1 pitch. Good pitch from Looper. The bunt is, it seems, out of the question now with 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Looper is throwing that splitter effectively tonight.
Kendall, the runner at first, 1 out, no score, 3rd inning. And a check on Jason Kendall. Cardinals come in 7 games under 500. And only because of the way the Brewers have played over the past 3 weeks, where they are actually under 500, are the Cardinals within single digits in the NL Central. Marquis strikes out. Third strikeout for Braden Looper. And back to the top of the order, and Soriano. Kraft and Schnooks have teamed up with the Cardinals to allow fans the opportunity to steal second base. Register all summer at Schnooks at the Kraft display for your chance to run onto the field and take home second base. I would assume that would be done under supervision when it's allowed. Kraft stealing second at Schnook stores now.
I mean, it always takes place in between innings, Joe.
Okay. Not something where you're being chased by umpires and grounds crew people. Soriano hitting .298. Takes a strike. Sonic pitch count should be very good for Braden, who has allowed only the one base runner, 35 pitches. Maybe this next pitch will get him through 3 innings.
He'd like that 12 pitches per inning average. Should be fine.
The next, blocked by Molina. A ball and a strike.
See where Aaron Cook threw a complete game last night with only 74 pitches. I mean, it goes down, and that technique of using your body and glove to smother the ball, keep it right, not so much to catch it, but to keep it right in front so no advancement by the runner.
Kendall does not have a big lead at first. A 1-1 pitch to Soriano. Now he goes. Soriano offers at it, pops it into left. Should end the inning. Duncan is there, and that'll do it for Chicago in the third. Good work so far by Braden Looper. He's doing his part. Miles, Looper, and Eckstein coming up. See if the Cards can get on the board. No score after 2.5.
As long as
This portion of Cardinal Baseball on FSN Midwest brought to you by Kia Motors. Kia, the power to surprise. By Rico, move your ideas with Rico dependability. And by the new chicken grilled taquitos from Taco Bell. Taco Bell, think outside the bun. Here's Aaron Miles. Took a ball from Jason Marquis.
Sure, Aaron's in lineup with a 4-for-8 average against Jason.
That's one of those areas of putting a lineup together that Tony La Russa, I think, looks at first. He loves head-to-head matchups.
Well, you got 4-for-8 for Aaron Miles, a switch hitter, or the left-hand hitting Adam Kennedy, 1-for-6.
Reaching for it as Miles was fooled on the pitch. 1 out. Cardinals' only hit belongs to Eckstein, who led off the game with a hit, stole second, walking down to the bag, and then was stranded out there as Edmonds moved him over, but Pujols and Duncan couldn't get him in. Here's Braden Looper. I think when you look back, though, Al, and you consider this Cardinal team when they came into spring training, and the word was sent out early by Dave Duncan that he expected Braden Looper to be a starter, and you thought, huh? What? Looper, for the most part, has done a very good job in the rotation.
There was a definite period of time early in the season when he was the best Cardinal starter. That conversation first started between Dave Duncan and Braden Looper last September. So he prepared for it all winter. And you've got to give Braden Looper an awful lot of credit, because when Dave made the suggestion or wanted to feel him out, Looper embraced it and said, you know, I like that idea. I want to prove to people I can do that. And he has.
Chopper to third is foul.
The one thing he's got going against him is the fact that, you know, his career high coming into this year in pitches or innings total was 86 with Florida. By the end of this game, he's going to be close to his 2-year total in St. Louis of total innings he's going to throw this year. So his arm is kind of gradually strengthening to the point to handle the workload of a starter.
Of course, Dave Duncan has had the experience in the reverse with Dennis Eckersley. The job he did turning him from starter to reliever. Eckersley, who was in the National League with the Chicago Cubs, then became the closer with the A's, and there was a 3-year stretch where he was absolutely untouchable.
Well, and he's had success with guys like Dave Stewart, a journeyman. You know, yeah, with some starting experience, but really more long relief experience, and turned him into a period of time where he was one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Bob Welsh, guys like that he resurrected their career. Andy Bennis to a certain degree.
Certainly Woody Williams.
But there's been a lot of success with veteran guys.
Back to Marquis. And the first two are gone here in the third inning. A lot of ground ball outs against Marquis tonight off Cardinal bats. Sonic pitch count for Jason Marquis. He's even been more economical as Eckstein will see the 29th pitch of Jason tonight. In the fourth inning for the Cubs, Terry O'Lee and Ramirez will bat.
Joe, a young pitcher comes up and he's enamored with strikeouts. That's the only thing he's got in his mind, that he wants to strike people out. As you get a little older, more mature, you start realizing, hey, the strikeouts are important when you got a guy at third base and nobody out. But if I can retire hitters, pitch to contact, retire hitters on the first or second pitch, I have to, at a minimum, throw 3 pitches to strike out. And if I can get a guy out on pitch or 2, I'm going to stay in there a lot longer.
Eckstein with an 0-1 count. Now he's 2 for 2. So David is on. Marquis, I'm sure this time will keep a closer eye on Marquis, or rather on Eckstein over at first, and we'll see what Edmonds can do.
Well, he was 1 for 6 before tonight. Now 3 for 8. And even if Jason pays as little attention to David as he did first time up and just concentrate on the hitter, it's not a bad thing. You can't steal second and third and home if he gets the hitter out.
Count has totaled now 1 for 22. Edmonds, Pujols, and Rolen in this series. And if they're not going to do it with their importance in this lineup, probably not going to win. And the Cardinals lost the opener of this set, lost last night to Ted Lilly. One of these guys has got to step up and get a big hit or hit a ball out of the park. 1 ball, no strikes on Edmonds. He's hitting .231. 2-0.
Jim, not in the lineup in yesterday's game, but trying to get righted after missing some extended period of time with that nerve damage in his back that was affecting his hamstring and hip.
.2-0 pitch. Edmonds out in front of it, 2-1. The AAA outfielder that is playing center field at Memphis goes by the name of Rick Ankiel. Ankiel last night hit his league-leading 29th home run. 29 home runs for Rick Ankiel at AAA, and made 8 straight putouts in center field for the Memphis team.
Great athlete, but look at some of the other guys, you know, that talks about the Memphis home run record. And
Kevin Witt and the late Mike Coolbaugh, who passed away this week.
Yeah, but I mean, look at, there's guys that have been big home run hitters down there that, you know, little impact at the major league level, but there's no doubt that Rick is a tremendous athlete, and we will see him at some time.
Yeah, still, I'd like to see what he does here on a regular basis. I mean, if the rest of this season provides anything, it would be a platform and a stage for a guy like Ankiel, as Edmonds can't hold up. That's strike 2.
And Joe, we may be coming to that period very quickly, and I guess for the trading deadline, you've got to see what some of these veteran players will get in return. And I think it's almost to the point you make trades for next season, the way the season is going this year for the Cardinals.
3-2 pitch to Edmonds. Eckstein takes off, and that will give Pujols 2 on, 2 out. And a chance for Albert to try and end his frustration in this series.
And one quick thought before Albert comes up here is maybe the most important thing, or a key thing for the Cardinals when you think about the future, is shedding payroll so they'll have more flexibility next year in the trading deadline or free agent market.
Well, they're going to have to. They're going to have to pay because there's nobody at the AAA level that's ready to go.
Well, but I mean, they're kind of locked in with a lot of big contracts.
2 on, 2 out. Albert Pujols waits and takes a strike. Pujols, his first time up, had a runner at third. Eckstein 1 out, fouled out on a good running catch by Derek Lee in front of the Cardinal dugout. .313 average for Pujols, 60 RBIs to lead this Cardinal team, but that's only 5 more than Chris Duncan. Popped up on the infield. Derek Lee waits for it, and the Cardinals now have stranded 3. Pujols hitless tonight, and his frustration continues. 4th inning, Cards and Cubs, no score. We go into the 4th inning, and there is no score. A total of 3 hits in the game. Eckstein has 2 of them, and here is Ryan Theriot. Takes high for ball 1. Theriot, then Lee, then Aramis Ramirez. If anybody gets on, Cliff Floyd for the Cubs. Trying to sweep. Carroll Hambrick is watching. Barnes ICU unit in stable condition from Benton, Arkansas. Carroll Hambrick suffered a heart attack last month here at Busch Stadium, and the paramedics at the stadium revived him. And he's doing very well, and that's great news. So with Carroll watching, we'll wait for a 2-0 pitch from Braden Looper. And it's a little high and tight, 3-0.
So how cool is it to be college teammates and be playing in the big leagues and playing on the same team? Theriot and Fontenot were the double play combinations for LSU.
There's a strike from Looper. I think it's neat, and I think it's got to help soften the blow of coming to the big leagues and trying to settle in when you've got your buddy to your left or right doing it at the same time you
Sure.
are.
Yeah, they were on 2000. They were the College World Champion, and Theriot came up in the big leagues in 05, but was hitless and just a little cup of coffee for the Cubbies. Didn't get recalled last year. So he was telling me, kind of joked around. It took him 3 years to get his first big league hit.
A walk, first of the night by Looper, puts the leadoff man on for Chicago. Here comes Derek Lee. Geico quote of the day from Rogers Hornsby. I don't want to play golf. When I hit a ball, I want someone else to go chase it.
He hit the ball pretty well,
I would say.
A couple years of 400 average and better.
1 on, nobody out. Derek Lee at the plate. Theriot starts and stops over at first, and it's ball 1 to Lee. Derek, his first time, struck out. Aramis Ramirez on deck.
Raja, as Hornsby was known, played for both these teams. There's been several guys that have played for both teams, Cardinals and Cubs.
Good pitch by Looper, and little flare into right center field for Encarnacion. 1 on, 1 out. Well, we say the name and we flash back. Rogers Hornsby highlights. They did everything fast back then.
Oh yeah. Tremendous hitter. Look at some of these names on there, Joe.
These are Hall of Famers who either played or managed for both the Cardinals and the Cubs. Hornsby is at the top of the list. Of course, Lou Brock. Over Cleveland Alexander, Clark Griffith, Bruce Sutter, Leo DeRocher.
Yeah, played and managed for the Cubbies.
Dennis Eckersley, Rabbit Moranville, Hoyt Wilhelm, Dizzy Dean. And a guy that starred as a closer for both the Cardinals and Cubs, Lee Smith.
Oh, the non-Hall of Fame guys, the Kenny Reeds, Mike Garman.
It's hard to believe it's been 5 years for Lee Smith.
Yeah. Oh, well, he's been eligible. He is not.
He's number 2 on the all-time saves list
Well,
now.
I think Gossage will get in before Lee Smith, and rightfully so.
1 on, 1 out, 0-2 the count.
Not Kessinger, Jim Hickman.
Eric Pappas.
Oh my gosh, they come. Mike Tyson.
1-2 is the count on Ramirez. Paul Kilgus. Jamie Moyer.
Mickey Kelleher.
All right, we could go on and on. They're high definition televisions clicking off across the St. Louis area. 1-2 the count on Ramirez. Floyd next. Looper trying to get around a leadoff walk and do it against the heart of the Chicago lineup. Ramirez gets under it and pops it up. They're not getting very good contact against Braden Looper so far tonight. Looper was hustling down to second base in case Miles went out for that pop-up as well, and that's out number 2.
Watch, you'll see that Eckstein goes after it, but Miles goes back as he should. But once David calls it off, you see Miles start getting back towards second base, but Braden wasn't going to take anything for granted. He was going there too.
So here is Cliff Floyd.
Talked to Cliff Floyd last night. He said, if you would have told me we'd be in this position at the beginning of the season, I would have paid you $1 million.
Wow. Too bad he didn't run into him.
He just can't believe it. Chicago native, you know, and he can't believe that the way the season started out for them, that they're in this position to, I mean, they could be in first place by the end of the weekend.
Cliff, his first time grounded out. This is the spot, though, that Lou Piniella would love his team to upgrade. They need another outfielder, and they need somebody to bat fifth. And right now, if you're Cliff Floyd and you keep hearing Lou Piniella say that, you think, well, let's see here. I'm an outfielder, and I bat fifth.
Well, the one thing is Floyd has been swinging the bat well, and they win when he plays right field. And Jock Jones is hitting much better since he's been moved to center. So I think they're hearing the pressure and responding.
1 ball, 1 strike. For the pitch, Yadier Molina stealing a glance down at first, just to see if Terrio is going to wander too far. You know what happens when those runners at first wander too far. Yadier comes up throwing. 1-1 pitch. Another jump over at first, but Terrio stopped. 2-1.
Yadi's ready to show and do his thing, and remain one of the best throwing catchers in the game. Matt Sinatro talking to Terrio over there, who has 17 steals in 20 attempts. Molina got him first game of the series, and then Terrio got him one time, but he really stole it off the pitcher. Molina had no shot.
Ripped up the middle, a rocket into center. Terrio is going to go to third and make it. Edmonds got the ball, looked at the ball in his hand. I don't know if he juggled it or not, but he let up just a little, and Terrio took it on Edmonds.
And what might have happened is that when Terrio went around second base, he slipped. So Jim Edmonds may have saw that and said, well, he's not going to come in. There's the little juggle that you're talking about. So Terrio's thinking about going from first to third. As he goes around the bag, he slips there, and they just hesitation ever so slightly, but he's got that good speed. And
I tell you what, though, Al, if I'm Lou Piniella and I see this kid Terrio recognize that little bobble out in center field and run on a guy like Edmonds, who's notorious for having a great arm, that would make me smile, knowing that my young middle infielder is looking to force the issue and take an extra base when he can.
Well, it all starts, well, I think when he left first base, remember there's 2 outs, so with contact he can get a good jump and go, you know, that he was thinking going to third all the way.
Fontenot's in the hole 0-2, so Looper is trying to do what Cardinal pitchers have had a tough time doing in this series so far, and that is avoid the 2-out RBI hit.
And by the way, Floyd is over 350.
Theriot and Fontenot, teammates at LSU, now with the Cubs. Fontenot trying to drive home Ryan Theriot, and
Fontenot
the third, look to first.
Fontenot last night got the first RBI of the game in the 4th inning, and then he got another one in the 5th. So it wasn't that they were, you know, extra base hits, which the Cubs end up with 6, but he got 2 singles and they produced RBIs.
Ball one smothered by Molina, 1-2. Told you a lot of finals from around baseball. Some games are just underway, like the Yankees trailing at Kansas City 4-zip, Boston leading 8-1 at Cleveland in the 5th, and Houston pounding on San Diego 6-1 after 2.5.
I can tell you Barry Bonds is batting right now.
Hitless in their game so far. Fontenot pops it up. A lot of pop-ups against Braden Looper tonight. Edmonds will call for it, take it. Looper has done well. He gets around the leadoff walk by getting Lee, Ramirez, and Fontenot with that hit by Cliff Floyd mixed in. Who's coming up? Duncan first up. No score. No score as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Chris Duncan first up, came into this game a .389 hitter during the month of July, and he has found himself a little home in that cleanup spot, getting more and more games against left-handed pitching. Takes a ball from Marquis. Duncan, Encarnacion, and Roland for the Cardinals. The 1-0. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Not only is he hitting just under 400 this month, but he has 9 home runs and 32 RBIs in his last 31 games.
Derek Lee backed up at first base, and a 1-1. That's high from Marquis. Jason Marquis liked his time in St. Louis, lived in the Clayton area, and enjoyed being here. Didn't end too well for him when he was not on the active roster during the World Series this past year, during the playoffs period.
I remember the first time I saw him this season, he was very, very complimentary of his Cardinal organization and his time here, and frequently he was, you know, fraternizing with all of his former teammates every series.
2-2 pitch is high, full count. Staten Island childhood for Marquis, and a good guy, made a lot of friends in the St. Louis area. Pitching back here in town and bringing home a 3-2 pitch to Chris Duncan.
He's 2-0 against the Cardinals this year, in lifetime 3-0. Actually has pitched better in Wrigley Field this year than he has on the road.
Nothing wrong with a theory of trying to put a sinker ball specialist at Wrigley Field. 3-2 pitch. Foul.
Well, the one thing too, though, Joe, is we saw him give up an awful lot of home runs, and pitching in Wrigley Field this year, he has only allowed 14 home runs in 120 innings.
Another 3-2 to Duncan. Another foul ball. So he and Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach for Lou Piniella, have found a nice groove here. And he will have his ups and downs. There'll be times where he will look unhittable and times where he'll have trouble throwing strikes and get knocked around the park. But he'll give you all he's got, and he gives Duncan a leadoff walk. Second walk by Marquis. Immediately following the game, stay tuned for Cardinals Live, the postgame show completely dedicated to your team. Our reporters take you inside the clubhouse, player interviews, in-depth analysis, complete Cardinals postgame coverage. Cardinals Live after every game on FSN Midwest.
Jason Marquis is so talented, it's only a matter of time before he put it together at some place. And that's not a reflection on Bobby Cox and Leo Mazzoni, or Dave Duncan and Tony La Russa, or Lou Piniella and Larry Rothschild. He's just that talented. He's always been a bit stubborn and wants to do it his way, but with age comes maturity.
The thing Jason Marquis has never been a huge fan of are visits from the catcher, and he exhaled as he saw Jason Kendall, his catcher, pop up and trot out there.
It looked like he walked off the back of the mound after Jason turned around and shaking his head like, I knew that.
Jason, let's throw strikes here. Come on. That's what he was told by Kendall. Really? Thanks. Runner at first, nobody out. And a double play ball off the bat of Encarnacion. Theriot, Fontenot, Derek Lee. And Encarnacion was nowhere near first base. So with that high throw, Lee had plenty of time to get up, get down, and make the tag. 2 out.
I must be honest, I wasn't watching Encarnacion. I was watching the double play, but the ball was hit hard. Quick little shovel pass to his college second baseman and return throw, and now he'll come into your pitcher.
Rolen hits one to left field. I bet that felt good. 1-0 St. Louis.
Hit a home run on Sunday after getting the injection on Wednesday in his shoulder, and now he hits another one to give the Cardinals a 1-run lead. Only 6 on the year.
Molina was trying to follow it and came up empty. So yeah, 2 home runs following the cortisone injection, and this is about as hard and as far a ball as Rolen's hit all year.
Yeah, it's having trouble because of the scar tissue on his twice surgically repaired shoulder that, you know, it's tightened the shoulder capsule, and really having trouble on pitches that are up. And that pitch down, you could easy to drop the bat head and just come through. But in his swing, particularly on pitches up, you got to a certain point and then the bat head just didn't come through. On a pitch down, you drop it and let it fly.
0-2 pitch is high. Tony La Russa in the paper was saying, yeah, the injury is one thing and the scar tissue is definitely an issue, but there's also some stubbornness and unwilling to change the approach at the plate, which I thought was something interesting out of Tony's mouth, saying that, you know, he'd like to see Scott not only talk about the injury in the left shoulder, but also look at other ways to approach at bats.
Specifically on Tuesday, and that was the game where he got frustrated and decided to go back to St. Louis and have the medical staff. But before that game, and he had a couple key at bats where he struck out, I asked Tony, I said, is Scott hurt? And he said no. And he cited that example. He said, you know, he's gotten a little older, he needs to make some adjustments, he can't do some of the things. And he said it's very difficult for a lot of hitters to make those adjustments because they've been successful in the past. But one of the other telling things, and we're not privileged to all the medical information. The HIPAA laws do not allow the medical staff to divulge some of the things that go on between trainer and player, or doctor patient relationships. But the way I read those articles, that Scott wasn't going in and getting treatments. He was not telling the medical staff there was anything wrong, so that's the only thing they can go by.
3-2 is the count after the Rolen home run, and Molina, who's 0 for 1, trying to figure out Marquis. Marquis is allowed to run on 3 hits now and rings up his first strikeout of the night, but Rolen put a charge into that ball. That thing was popped. 1-0, Cardinals on top as we go to the 5th here in St. Louis. Cardinal fans, Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of the Cardinals, is providing all kids 15 and under A back-to-school lunch bag on Saturday, July 28th. The lunch bag will be distributed to kids prior to the game with the Brewers this Saturday. For tickets, please visit STLCardinals.com. Click on the Prime Seat Club. Back to school. Ugh. It's a nice giveaway, but who wants to think about back to school? Old Trudy Buck doesn't want to think about back to school. First pitch is a 90-mile-an-hour fastball up and away for ball one to Jock Jones. 1-0. Cardinals out in front on the rolling home run. Jones takes ball two.
So Jock had a terrible first half, and I think that might have been some of the clamoring by Pinella to get a fifth-place hitter and an outfielder.
It's well against the Cardinals. What a good play by Miles to his left. Boy, he's solid. 1 out.
Ball was really hit hard, so a nice play as he goes to his left, scoots as he changes from the dirt to the outfield grass, pops up and comes up. But Jock Jones has been a nice little addition. And once again, you see the fine fielding play by Aaron Miles. Last 15 games, Jock has started, or 16 games, he started 13 games in center field, and he's batting .372 during that time.
Kendall now has one of the two Chicago hits. Takes a strike. It's Kendall now. It's Marquis on deck as Braden Looper tries to sail through 5 innings. Good breaking ball for a strike. It's 0-2.
Jason, 3-time National League All-Star.
Oh, 2 the count. With 1 out, nobody on. Kendall reaching for it, fouls it, stay up there.
Jason, 12 years now in the big leagues. Father was a big league player, a catcher. Oh, good jam shot. Dad is part of Buddy Bell's coaching staff in Kansas City.
Another 0-2 from Braden Looper is low. This has to make Dave Duncan awfully happy coming back from that Saturday night start in Atlanta. Braden Looper has been terrific, very sharp. 2-2. Gave up a 2-out hit to Cliff Floyd in the 4th. A 1-out hit to Jason Kendall on a broken bat flare in the 3rd inning, and other than the walk, he's been perfect. And Kendall's got him twice. 2 for 2. Duncan trying to cut it off, makes a very good play and holds Kendall to a 1-out double. That was a good play.
And had to run down in the corner there. Remember how big Chris is, that he's got to run full speed, reach all the way down, and come up with that ground ball. Cuts it off right in the corner, gets it back, and Jason Kendall, not as fast as he once was, but remember when he was with the Pirates, he was their leadoff hitter for many years.
He's not as good as he once was, but he's as good once as he ever was.
I think I understood that.
Here's Marquis. It was a big play with 1 out in the inning by Duncan, because if that ball rattles around at all down in that corner, it's an easy triple. Marquis struck out his first time and is behind on the count 0-1. Now tries to drop one down for a hit. They're going to let it roll foul. Strike 2. We have seen Marquis, obviously we saw him for years, where he's much better at that type bunting, where he squares around early and stands there with a bat in front of the plate. He really struggles trying to get it down.
Well, you know what it is? He's such a good athlete. It's almost like a guy that has great speed, that can bunt for base hits, but he can't sacrifice because he can't stay still. You know, he just wants to drag bunt. He wants to move, and just to ask him to a straight sacrifice, he just can't wait long enough.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Again, it's just a 1-run game, and remember who is in the leadoff spot for Chicago, Soriano.
That's
who is more of an RBI type leadoff guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's why. Do you really want to give up an out?
Soriano tied for the team lead for the Cubs in home runs. So the point is, why bunt a guy over? In other situations, you wouldn't hear with 1 out anyway, but Soriano is just as likely to step up there and hit a home run. Just might as well take your hacks with Marquis.
Well, any base hit to the outfield probably will produce the run.
Still 2-2 on Jason.
We don't throw anybody out.
Cubs trying to win for their 14th time against only 4 losses over the last 3 weeks. 2-2 pitch. Marquis trying to find a Braden Looper mistake. There haven't been many so far tonight.
Cubs have the best record in baseball since June the 3rd.
Cubs so far have beaten the Cardinals 5 out of 7 times this season. Marquis rolls the wrists and fouls it down the right field line. Still 2-2.
Have 4 straight wins right here in St. Louis. All 4 games they've played in St. Louis.
A 2-2 pitch. Marquis grounds to Pujols. Over to third goes Kendall. 2 out. So it's up to Soriano, who will look for the RBI. 2 RBIs have been plentiful for Lou Piniella. 9 of the 10 runs that the Cubs have scored in this series have come with 2 out. And there are the numbers for Soriano with 2 outs, runners in scoring position, hitting .333.
50% of the runs Cubs have scored since the All-Star break have come with 2 outs.
See if Braden Looper can bear down and get a tough hitter. Steps out.
Try and get that fastball in on him again.
Strike 1.
Good pitch.
What he did in his first at bat. First pitch of the night, Braden Looper sent one up and in to Soriano, hanging over the plate. And there again, in on his hands. 0-1 the count. Defensively, they are about straight away. Edmonds maybe a shade to pull in center.
Mentioned Joey hangs out over the plate, but it's got tremendous pop. So if you don't get in there, you're in trouble.
And Soriano launches one to left. Back is Duncan at the wall to end the inning. Top spin on it. It didn't carry. Soriano hit it hard, but fell a few feet short. And Braden Looper does his job. Gets around the 1-out double by Kendall. Duncan did not have much more room out in left. Still 1-0 after 4 1/2. Bank of America, official bank of the St. Louis Cardinals. Visit them at bankofamerica.com. We go into the bottom of the 5th. Bottom 2 in the lineup, Miles, Looper, then back to the top, Eckstein. Still 1-0 thanks to the pitching of Braden Looper. And there's strike 1 to Miles, who bounced out his first time to second. Left side, base hit. Pitch was up, and Aaron just served it between Aramis Ramirez and Ryan Theriot, the shortstop. Didn't try to pull it, just went with it. Lead off hit.
And that's the real key, is don't try to roll over on a pitch. If it's up and away, try and go that opposite way. Hit it hard enough to push it through. Aaron has done a great job filling in no matter where it is or playing around the infield.
Expect the more conventional approach with Looper up there to bunt. Pulls back from ball one. 89 degrees at the start of the night. Very pleasant night again. And a good weekend ahead here in St. Louis.
You know, the pretty aggressive Ramirez is already 15 feet down the line, and Lee will come charging when the pitch is made.
A little different look from higher up in center field. And the count's 2-0. Marquis is being handed an out here by Braden Looper. But so far, he's fallen behind on the count. Looper looks down at Oquendo for a new set of signs.
You know, the offense really hasn't been jump started. And something here, do a butcher boy, try to get something going on 2-0 pitch.
Foul for strike one.
Didn't let the ball come to him. He just kind of dropped the bat head a little bit. And when he made contact, the bat was in foul territory.
I have not seen a whole lot of bats with that ring on the end of it. Looper has that. Waits for a 2-1. Miles stays put, ball 3, 3-1. Marquis will struggle from time to time with his control, and he is being handed an out and not taking it.
It looks like it's a black painted, you know, it's like some of the players experimenting with some new style bats, and that may be one of them.
Cupped in bat, and a 3-1 is up and in. A walk to Braden Looper to put 2 on with nobody out. Don't forget the Central Automotive family. The heels of that third walk by Marquis. They donate $100 for every Cardinal win. They've not kicked in another 100 since the Cubs came to town. Maybe tonight's the night. 2 on for Eckstein, and we'll see if the Cardinals want to bunt with David.
Chris Suntrip has a whole pocket full of $100 bills that he wants to just throw out there.
Chris is always walking tall.
Walking tall. He was in rare form last night at the Cardinal game, just rooting on the Redbirds.
Really?
He wanted to give up some money.
Cubs expect the bunt. Eckstein bunts it beautifully to the third baseman Ramirez. A clinic by Eckstein. Has had a great night. He has 2 hits, a good bunt. And David Eckstein has made a couple of good defensive plays. Here's what he did back in the first. Leadoff hit, and look at that jump. Taking off on Marquis, taking an extra base and running on the arm of Jock Jones. And then his next time up, another hit. And defensively making a play to get Aramis Ramirez. Not much more he can do.
Well, now it's up to Jim Edmonds and Pujols and Duncan and company.
Edmonds walked his last time up, fly to center his first time. See if the Cardinals can add to their 1-0 lead.
He got Jimmy to pop up center that first time up on an off-speed pitch. Third time around, maybe they're a predictable pattern.
You have to take advantage of a leadoff hit and a walk to the pitcher up there to bunt.
And especially when you're coming up with your MVP3, your core guys that everybody else is a complement to, really, Edmonds and Pujols and Encarnacion and Duncan. I mean, I'm really rolling.
1-1, strike 2. Marquis has only 1 strikeout tonight. That was Molina in the 4th. He'd love to pick up his second right here.
And he's in position now with 2 strikes. Jimmy's walked 22 times and struck out 43. He would love to get a RBI base hit, give Looper a little bit more of a cushion.
A 1-2. Almost came back for strike 3. It stayed a little up and in.
I was going to say, Marquis has a legitimate right. That ball wasn't that far inside for Jim to spin the way he did.
Home plate umpire, a young guy, Scott Berry.
So far, pretty good job.
2-2. High. On deck is Pujols. We're in the 9th inning at San Francisco. 4-2, the Giants lead, but Barry Bonds has not hit a home run. Giants will have the Marlins in town this weekend. 3-2 pitch. Gotta load him up for Albert.
Rothschild out to talk to Jason Marquis. Walked 4 now to this inning after Aaron Miles' base hit and set the stage for Albert. Albert just needs to relax and get the monkey off his back. He's hitless in this series.
I think that the problems for Albert with the swings that we've seen so far in this series, they're all in the category of trying to do too much.
Right. Way out in front, rolling over on off-speed pitches or pitch out of way, going after it and just hooking it in the little ground ball to the left side.
There the runners on. Miles, Looper, and Edmonds for Albert.
Guarantee you Lou Piniella isn't breathing any easier after Albert's 0 for 2 and a couple pop-ups.
Ball 1 from Marquis. Pujols had a runner at third, 1 out in the first, popped up. 2 on in the 3rd inning, and he popped up.
Jason just trying to make a pitch, get it down, get a ground ball, and turn 2.
1-0 pitch hits Pujols. 2-0 Cardinals, and Albert, that caught him square. Hit him hard. And Marquis has hit a wild streak.
That's RBI and a 2-0 lead for the Cardinals. Ball just ran in, got him in the rib cage.
Strike 1. Miles got to the plate before Albert on that dead ball.
Yeah, dead ball, so it doesn't matter that in essence Miles passes Pujols. If he was running the bases backwards, it might count.
Here's an 0-1 to Duncan with the bases loaded. Strike 2. Tailing fastball from Marquis.
Billy Petrick, right-hander, warming up and pin for the Cubbies.
Pujols drilled in the rib cage by Marquis, and now it's up to Duncan, who has those numbers with the bases loaded. That's wide. Ball 1.
He's had a lot less at bats. Chris Duncan with the RBI for Pujols, number 61, is only 6 back of it. Been a very, very solid season for Chris as his development continues here at the major league level.
Yeah, still a young player, still learning, and very productive. The 1-2 to Duncan. Out in front of it, yanked foul. On 1-2, Duncan fouls it off his right leg or foot. Milwaukee lost in extra innings earlier today at Cincinnati. A hit by Javier Valentin beat him.
David Ross, their everyday catcher, is out with a hand injury, sliding head first, and so Valentin will get a lot more playing time, and he's their premier pinch hitter.
It's been a long inning for Jason Marquis. Over 20 pitches in this fifth. 22 to be exact of the 80 total. It was 0-2 on Chris Duncan. Now the 2-2 pitch. Hit high in the air to right. Back is Floyd, still going. It is gone. Grand slam, 6-0.
The strike up there, then a breaking ball outside with another sinker. Then he gets ahead on an off-speed pitch. There's a fastball fouled off, another pitch, and then the pitch out away, got the arms extended. And we haven't been a long time since we've seen any curtain calls, but a lot of times the Grand Slam will bring that upon you.
First home run of this series, and it belongs to Duncan, and that, or rather second, as Rolen went deep earlier in this game. That just points out how strong he is, because he didn't catch it all. He was a little out in front of it. That thing carried all the way out of here, well over the wall in right center. There's out number 2 as Encarnacion grounds out.
Set up away, ball up, and just wrenched out and got it. Just got enough of it, but as you said, country strong, and he just put a charge into it. Floyd was acting like he was going to make the catch, but that ball sailed midway back into the Cardinal bullpen.
That fan looked like he was shooting a commercial.
Maybe he was.
0-1 the count on Rolen. He is the one who hit the first home run of this series back in the 4th, and it was really cracked out into left center. Time granted at home plate.
Pujols 22 home runs, 61 RBIs, and now Duncan 20 home runs and 59 RBIs.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Still need a lot more productive hitters than those two.
The 1-1 pitch. Rolen hits it in the air to center. That's well hit. Back is Jones on the run. Nice catch, but the Cardinals do big damage in the 5th. They're happy around these parts now. The Cardinal fans can celebrate. 5 runs in the 5th. That guy's happy. Get happy. Grand slam by Duncan. Cardinals lead 6-0. This portion of Cardinal baseball on FSN Midwest brought to you by Jack in the Box. Try the new sirloin burger. 100% sirloin, your choice of cheese and onions, only at Jack in the Box. By Chrysler, engineered beautifully. And by U.S. Cellular. We connect with you. After Chris Duncan connected with that breaking ball from Marquis to make it 6-0 as the Cardinals finally break through. Braden Looper gets some breathing room and rewarded for his 5 very good innings. And now a pitch up and in sends Pujols to his left. Foul ground, 1 out. Chris Duncan is getting curtain calls in St. Louis. Big brother Shelly Duncan got curtain calls at Yankee Stadium, and big go back to that Grand Slam. He wanted to make sure it got out.
Wanted to watch it, but he did it 89 feet down the line. I don't think pitchers can be upset with that, can they?
No.
That's fair.
Derek Lee takes the ball.
There's Dave and Chris. Made the trip over to Kansas City on Monday to watch Shelley play with the Yankees.
1 ball, 1 strike.
They were pretty proud and pretty happy, father and younger brother. Shelley called up over the weekend and hit 3 home runs in his first 2 games at the big league level for the storied New York Yankees.
Here's a 2-1 to Lee with 1 out, right down the middle. 90-mile-an-hour fastball, 2-2.
One of the things Cardinal pitchers have had trouble this year, hopefully Looper will not, is putting up a 0 after his team gets him on the lead or has a big inning.
He has come right after these hitters all night.
And that's the way it should be, especially when you know you're into the 80 pitches, so you're going to go out there, you finish this inning, maybe go through the 7th, but you try and get out there and just attack the hitter, stay aggressive.
Cardinals have a rested bullpen ready to go tonight. 2-2 pitch is flied into right, pretty well hit. Back is Encarnacion. This ball is going to carry over the wall for an opposite field home run for Derek Lee, number 9 on the year. It's 6-1.
Look at Derek Lee, and you'd think he'd have a lot more than 9 home runs, but that shows you how strong he is to hit that ball to the opposite field. All out away from him, and goes off the Shane sign. Bounces back in, but over the home run line.
Now Aramis Ramirez takes a strike. Rather, a ball up and away as it just missed. Ramirez tonight was 0 for 2. Grounded out, popped up. Trying to unload on that pitch, and he pops it to Aaron Miles. 2 down. Batter will be Floyd, who has a hit tonight. On Sunday, August 12th, Cardinals play the Dodgers. Listen up. All kids age 12 and under receive a Cardinals World Series bear, courtesy of Build-A-Bear Workshop. For tickets, visit stlcardinals.com. Click on Prime Seat Club. Sunday, August 12th, the World Series bear from Build-A-Bear Workshop. 2 out, bases empty behind Braden Looper, and Cliff Floyd stands in, hitting .292. A lot of movement and wiggling with that bat prior to the pitch. And then his hands come right down by his side as the pitch is headed his way. Saw St. Louisan, pride of U City, Bernard Gilkey before tonight's game.
I saw him there. He had a couple of his sons and a nephew with him.
That's backing out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jalen and Caven, his 2 sons, were with him, and it was good to see him.
It's been a while since I've seen him. He lives here in St. Louis and in Atlanta.
Here's a 1-1. Cliff Floyd jammed in on his hand. Still got a pretty good rip. Strike 2.
Cliff, 34 years of age now. He entered this season with a .279 career average with 317 doubles, 213 home runs, 781 RBIs.
One ball, 2 strikes, 2 out, nobody on. Cliff takes inside, 2-2. Floyd singled a rocket into center back in the 4th inning. Grounded out to short in the 2nd. Cardinals have broken loose here tonight. 6 runs on only 5 hits. Pitch was up. Miles has plenty of time. The inning is over. Looper gives up a run, but leads by 5 as this game goes to the bottom of the 6th, with Molina set to lead it off. This game heads into the bottom of the 6th inning. And we'll tell you that International Fight League on FSN with the toughest fighters in mixed martial arts. Take a look at some of the sports rising stars. The International Fight League tomorrow at 11, only on FSN Midwest. Ronnie Cedeno is in the game at third base. Double switch as Billy Petrick takes over. Chevrolet called to the bullpen here in the 6th.
Petrick is his third stint with Chicago. He was most recently recalled July 16th. Originally selected by the Cubs in the 3rd round of the 2002 draft, and 26-21 record, 3.50 ERA in the minor leagues.
Yadier Molina greets him with a base hit. First hit of the night for Molina. Jason Marquis stands to suffer the loss if his teammates don't come from behind. 2-0 against the Cardinals this season as you watch the hit up the middle by Yadier Molina. And for Marquis, 5 innings, 6 runs on 5 hits, including 2 home runs, one by Rolen and the grand slam by Chris Duncan. He walked 4, hit a batter, struck out only 1.
So the grand slam inning, when they got 5 runs, the Cardinals in the 5th inning, there were only 2 hits in that inning. A couple walks, a hit batter, and the 2 hits.
Aaron Miles has another base hit. Molina will go first to second. And it's 2 on with nobody out. Braden Looper coming up. Miles always seems to do something every time he's in the lineup. And here's Looper up there to bunt. And it will take a good bunt to get Molina over to third.
What are you trying to say?
Trying to say that he does not run particularly well.
It's comes with the family.
But what also comes with the family is terrific catching skills.
Yeah, 3 brothers in the big leagues.
So Looper is the one who has to try and lay down that perfect bunt. Fouled the first. Breaking ball is a little up and in. And
about Molina with a steal. What were you saying about his
third?
What were you saying about his speed?
You're right. He's absolutely fleet of foot. With Cedeno charging so far, he leaves third base completely wide open. And so Yadier Molina says, well, they know I can't run well, but if there's nobody standing there, I might as well go.
You'll see right here is watch where the third baseman comes all the way in, and there's nobody there.
I mean, Cedeno just fell asleep.
You saw, and end up Alfonso Soriano, the left fielder, was as close as Ronnie Cedeno was to the third base bag, and Cedeno was coming in. I mean, Soriano was coming into the infield to guard against it. Playing out of position, and he's a shortstop.
Looper slaps at it, fouls it. Still 1-2. You know, if Ronnie Cedeno makes any effort or movement back toward third base, Molina goes nowhere, but Cedeno came in when the bunt was not made, just kind of dropped his shoulders and stood there.
A lot of good things happening in this game from a Cardinal standpoint.
1-2 pitch is down and in, 2-2. Petrick is greeted with back-to-back hits, a steal by Yadier Molina.
Petrick born in Kankakee, Illinois.
Looper's going to bounce a base hit over the head of Cedeno, and the Cardinals lead by 6 again. 7-1 as Yadier Molina. A hit, a steal, a run scored. Fifth RBI for Looper. back here tomorrow and Saturday as the Cardinals and Brewers square off. FSN Midwest will be presented in high definition. Razor sharp clarity of HD. You'll feel like you're here at the ballpark. HD tomorrow night, 6 o'clock on FSN Midwest, and Larry Rothschild out to talk to Petrick as the first three have all singled here in the 6th.
Petrick going 23 years of age. He's 6'6", 240 pounds. Signed out of high school, Morris High School, and that's where he resides at Morris, Illinois. Ranked the 5th best prospect in the Cubs organization, their minor league system, by Baseball America.
Now Eckstein, see what he's doing. Gonna swing, and he takes a breaking ball for a strike.
A good night. Couple hits, stolen base, sacrifice.
Oh, 1 pitch is down and in, and I don't think Kendall and Petrick are on the same page with their signs. 1 is fastball, 2 is curve. There's a guy at second.
So it's either first or second sign.
But I think he's been crossed up on each of the first 2 pitches to Eckstein, talking about Kendall. Ground ball to the right side. Eckstein advances the runners again. Runners move up to second and third, 1 away. And Jim Edmonds will be the hitter.
There's one guy in this lineup tonight that you need to see some positive sign for. My pick would be Jim Edmonds.
Well, I mean, he's just such a vital part of what this lineup needs to be for the Cardinals to do anything in the NL Central the rest of the way.
You can see since returning from the disabled list, his legs are better, getting better jumps and reads on balls, and showing you why he's won 8 Gold Gloves out in center field. But you need to heat up his bat.
Infield is in for the play at the plate. If Edmonds hits it on the ground, Jim chops one to first. Lee throws home. Good play. Miles tagged out. 2 out. Fielder's choice 3-2, and Lee got up, got it, and threw a strike.
Height advantage helped out there by Derek Lee. Tried to roll over on a pitch outside. He goes up high. It's not a force play, so Kendall has to get there and tag out Miles.
Here's Pujols now, first and third, 2 out.
Had plenty of time for Jason Kendall to receive the throw from his first baseman, step up the line, drop that left leg down, and kind of seal off the plate.
Pujols flies one into deep right center. Back is Jones at the wall to wave goodbye. 3-run home run. 10-1, Cardinals on top.
Well, Albert had his chances earlier in the game. He was hit by a pitch and got an RBI. And it's only a matter of time before he will unload and explode. Fastball down there. He hits it to the opposite field. Instead of rolling over, he went with a pitch just enough for his 23rd home run and a 4 RBI night, giving him 64. And a nice sport by the Cub fan to give that ball to a Cardinal fan.
Duncan takes it low, 2-0. Chris hit a grand slam his last time up, and Albert, clean shaven, goes deep into right center field, and then that nice moment Al talked about out in right center field with the Cub fan. And the Cardinal fan.
Yeah, he gave it to this little guy. You think he was afraid of that youngster?
I think the tail of the tape shows a distinct advantage for the guy in blue in any fight for a baseball.
But he got the ball, the Cub fan, and he was kind enough to give it to that little guy, and he'll never forget the Cub fan or the Albert Pujols home run.
So the walk to Duncan, and Petrick has had a rough inning, to say the least. 8th guy to bat now. 4-run 6th after a 5-run 5th.
And nobody warming up to rescue him.
Encarnacion, 4 hits last night. So far tonight, 0 for 3.
Cardinals got a solo home run, a grand slam, a 3-run home run. It's time for a 2-run shot.
Homer for the cycle. As you watch again the home run swing by Albert Pujols after that meeting, we remind you that the copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Cardinals may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Encarnacion is stunned that that's a strike, as he was jumping away from it, and the count's 2-1. Like a better pitch, it's 3-1. So Pujols gets some of that frustration out. The home run into right center field, and now a 3-1 pitch to Encarnacion is hit in the air to left. To his left is Soriano, and that will end the inning. We go into the 7th. It's been a fun night for those two and for those wearing Cardinal attire here this evening. 10-1, St. Louis out in front.
Presentation on FSN is brought to you in HD.
Cardinal fans, on Monday, August 6th, 25,000 fans receive a shoulder pack courtesy of Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. For tickets, go to stlcardinals.com and click on Prime Seat Club. It's Monday, August 6th. Cardinals and the Padres, who right now are trailing at Houston and are also trailing in the NL West behind the Dodgers. Nobody in the West right now is playing all that great. Skip Schumacher takes over. He's out in left. Cardinals take Duncan out. Chris has had a big night. Also made a good play out in left field on a ball down the line. And here's Fontenot first up against Looper, and a pitch up and away, ball 1. Mike Fontenot's 0 for 2. He struck out. He's fly to center. Big numbers in his first real crack at the big league level. Pujols ranges far to his right, and good job by Looper covering. Pujols goes a long way, but he makes the play 3-1 on the putout.
Why they practice this all the time in spring training, PFP, pitcher's fielding practice, and see a ball hit to the right side. Don't ever take it for granted that you're not going to have to get over there. You can hear Albert yelling, but he ranges further away from the first base line than any first baseman I've ever seen. So as a pitcher, you've got to get over there all the time.
Jock Jones takes a ball. Jock tonight is 0 for 2, fly to center and grounded out. Off the end of the bat, 1 ball, 1 strike. Dodgers led the West at the start of the day by a game, and they lead at Colorado 3-0 in the 4th inning right now, while Houston beating up on San Diego 7-1 in the 8th. Biggio went deep again tonight after hitting a grand slam last night on the heels of his announcement, or 2 nights ago, that he's going to hang him up after a 20-year career at the end of the season. Got his 3,000 hits and
kind of indicated that to me the first trip into Houston, that this would probably be it for him. And what a Hall of Fame career he's had.
He and Bagwell was there to celebrate his 3,000th hit with him. And those two were great friends and great teammates.
And just the face of that franchise.
Here's a 2-2 to Jock Jones with 1 out. Ball 3.
Dave Duncan knows that Shelley is at the plate right now with runners at first and second, 1 out. Kansas City leading 4-0. I love this scoreboard because you can follow out-of-town games.
Sellout crowd of 45,308.
Second walk allowed by Looper tonight. He's only given up 4 hits and 1 of them a home run. But there you can see Shelley Duncan is up. 1 out, runners at first and second. Top of the 6th inning. Kansas City leading 4-0.
And an 0-1 count. Kansas City has got a lot of young talent that they can really get excited about.
They do, Joe. I mean, they're an up-and-coming team, and you know,
Tian, Gordon,
yeah, and
Billy Butler.
And I remember Ron Schuler, one of the Cardinals' assistants to Walt Jocketty and former big league pitcher and GM of the White Sox, telling me last year he saw that. I guess it was the Wichita Club, their AA affiliate, and said they had like 8 legitimate prospects. Gordon was on that team when he was minor league player of the year.
Here's a little flare into left center field. Schumacher just into the game, went back and then recovered. 2 out. And it'll be the first at bat of the night for Ronnie Cedeno, who was recalled at the start of this 3-game set. So Cedeno bats, hitting 118. Ball 1.
Really important to Looper to have this type of performance, not only to salvage 1 win from the 3-game set, but to go deep into a ball game, and hopefully, you know, you don't overtax this bullpen with a day-night doubleheader on Saturday, and you're going to have a roster move to activate Anthony Reyes to make a start or bring him up to the big leagues.
That'll be against Milwaukee, the team he made his major league debut against. Pitched so well a couple of seasons back.
And you know, Tony try and hold off and make that decision. If Mike Maroth, tomorrow night's starter, pitches well, then it really makes it easy to send one of the relievers, and probably Jimenez, down, and probably your only move. If you got roughed up, you might have to activate or bring some other people up to have protection in that bullpen.
Cedeno shoots 1 out into right, falls in front of Encarnacion. 2 on, 2 out. And the batter will be Soriano.
That'll get the bullpen active for the Cardinals.
It also will, with this score being as lopsided as it is, Lou Piniella is going to take the opportunity and get Soriano a little more rest over on the bench. Angel Pagan will come off and hit. How much rest does that really provide a player to miss an at-bat or 2 after going through pregame warm-ups and playing in the game for 2+ hours?
I think it's just psychologically they don't have to go out there in the field and see maybe another long inning or 2, but I think more importantly it gets an at bat for Pagan, who's played defense the last couple nights.
And he's come up with some big hits for the Cubs this year. He's hitting 281, 4 homers, 19 RBI.
Soriano's more than happy to come out, and you make Pagan happy because he gets a chance to hit.
1-0 pitch from Looper. He fooled him. Out in front of the pitch, a pop-up right side, and Braden Looper will send us to the 7th inning stretch with a 10-1 lead. Done a terrific job here tonight. His night is finished. On his way to win number 8 on the year. Hardy's hot pitch of the night is the last pitch. Al, and really a very good outing for Braden Looper to get Pagan to end the top of the 7th.
Yep, fooled him with an off-speed pitch. Gets him to pop it up, and so 7 very effective, and you would assume his pitch count over 100 that his night is through, and he's done an outstanding job. Bullpen is strength for the Cardinals, so you assume they will control the 8th and 9th innings for the Cubs, and Braden Looper will pick up his 8th win, even his record at 8-8 this season, and I think it's 41-41 all time.
Brendan Ryan's going to come off the bench and bat for Roland. Molina will follow, and then Miles.
Malmares.
St. Louis Blue here at the park tonight. I think this is the beginning of a real exciting time for the St. Louis Blues and their fans. They seem to be on the upswing, to say the least, with new guys in charge, from Dave Checketts on down to John Davidson and Coach Murray.
See Coach Murray and John Davidson in attendance on a frequent basis here with their families, and wish them nothing but the best. But you're right, they're starting to generate some excitement in town.
3-0 is the count on Brendan Ryan. How about this guy hitting .339?
Yeah, but he can't hit coming off the bench. He's only 2 for 9 coming off the bench.
Likes to lick that left shoulder prior to the pitch.
He's .358 when starting the game and 2 for 9 off the bench, but he takes a walk.
So Petrick gives up the leadoff walk.
Tough inning for the 6th inning when he gave up 4 runs on 4 hits, including the 3-run home run by Albert.
Here's Yadier Molina, who has a hit, a stolen base, and a run scored. I would imagine that Lou Piniella is not usually the kind of guy who's going to take a lot of pity on any player, and for his right-hander Petrick, he's trying to see if he can gather himself and get 3 quick outs in the 7th inning so he doesn't have to rip up his bullpen in a 10-1 game before Cincinnati. And that series coming up this weekend. Ron Portman is today's merchandise winner in the Hyundai Long Drive Inning Sweepstakes. The Cardinals hit a home run in the 7th. Ron qualifies for the Hyundai Sonata drawing in September. To register, visit a St. Louis area Hyundai dealer.
Molina was the first one to greet Petrick, and he got the base hit off him. Larry Rothschild back out to talk to his youngster. Probably has family and friends in attendance watching Petrick, but this is when Molina sits there, and you know one of the things is say, hey, don't be walking people, go out there and throw strikes. So you as a hitter just say, I'm going to look for a pitch belt high, and then I'm going to belt it.
Why not?
Ron Fairley pulled that trick, the old veteran, on me one time. I was falling behind up at Jerry Park in Montreal, and Simmons was yelling out there, hey, don't be too fine. And so Ron sits there and he said, well, if catchers tell him don't be too fine, I'm not going to be too fine. I'm going to look for a pitch right here, and I served it up.
The last time he fell into that trap?
Yeah.
Or is that the last time Ted Simmons said that from behind the plate? Here's a pitch down and in, 3-1. And Petrick just looks like he's out of gas.
Yeah, or the last time I heard about it. Look at his red cheeks.
And a strike. Make it 3-2. We saw that the other night with Yadier heading down to first base before ball 4 was called.
I think this one was a little more questionable than those on Tuesday night.
3-2 pitch. Molina fights it off his hand.
Will Ullman, lefty's warming up for the Cubbies. And it looks like Jason Isringhausen for the Cardinals.
That's ball 4 to put 2 on with nobody out. We'll see if they want to go anymore with Petrick, and they won't. That is it. Back-to-back walks to start the inning. That's 3 walks in an inning plus. 4 runs, 4 hits. There comes Lou. This year, when you can't be home to watch the Cardinals on FSN, check out MLB.tv. You can log on to the internet to watch every out-of-market Cards game live or listen to every radio broadcast live. For more details on MLB.tv, visit STLCardinals.com, where baseball is always on. OUT of the game is Billy Petrick. And with his exit and Will Ullman's entrance into this game, we will step aside for a moment. 2 on, nobody out. Cardinals having fun at the Cubs' expense tonight.
What's on Tap is brought to you by Bud Light. Well, we'll be back here tomorrow night as the Brewers in town with Prince Fielder. It'll be Mike Maroth looking for his first victory, opposed by Claudio Vargas, an 8-game winner. But these Brewers are young, they're exciting. They got Cordero at the end of the ball game, but Joe, they're playing a little rough time right now, having the Cubs on their heels.
But I think the bigger picture for Milwaukee, with all of that young talent, Ryan Braun and J.J. Hardy and Prince Fielder, and right on down the line, they have to be awfully excited with where their franchise is headed right now.
Absolutely, and Braun is a guy that I can't wait to see. Talking with Gerald Perry, hitting coach for the Cubs today, and he said we can't get him out.
Will Ullman is our Chevrolet call to the bullpen with 2 on and nobody out. 0-2 is the count on Aaron Miles.
Aaron, another multi-hit game. Well, he's got a bunch of those, and many of them become, you know, when he's hitting at home. Came in tonight's action with a .380 batting average since May 22nd at home.
Miles chops to third. Cedeno will step and throw. That's a 5-3 double play. 2 out. Runner at second is Molina. And at the end of the game, Lou Piniella and Tony La Russa, both from Tampa, Florida, will part. Lou's always excited to see Tony, and vice versa. Prior to this series, we kept talking about how big a week it would be for the Cardinals. Well, it doesn't get any bigger than what's coming up. 4 games this weekend. But now you have to add the Cubs into the mix, with them only 2 games out, it would appear, at the start of the 4-game set with Milwaukee. Here's Ludwig pinch hitting. And Ludwig is the leading pinch hitter for the team that leads the National League in pinch hits.
That's right. He's batting .409 as a pinch hitter. Team leading 9 pinch hits, including 3 pinch hit home runs among his 7 total. And the 9 pinch hits are tied for 4th in the National League.
The numbers for Looper are great. 7 innings, 1 run on 5 hits. 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, a home run, and that is all. And most likely his 8th win of the year. Good effort tonight by Braden Looper. Here's a 1-0. Ryan takes ball 2, 2-0. Isringhausen will come on and work in the 8th with Terrio, Lee, and a pinch hitter scheduled. 3-0 on Ludwig with Eckstein next.
Ryan's been a nice addition to this ball club. Came in May 6th. He was tearing up AAA. And Lou Piniella, very, very competitive, just like Tony La Russa, but he wins the series as it looks.
That's a strike. 3-1.
Lou was a fun player to watch. American League Rookie of the Year in 1969. They talk about a game where he made the final out of a game and ran down the first base line afterwards, right out of the stadium, and ran home in his uniform. So upset.
Here's the 3-1. Ludwig shoots one into center, didn't get it all, and Jack Jones is there to end the inning. We go into the 8th. Final game of this 3-game set. Cardinals and Cubs. Cardinals on top tonight, big, 10-1. Well, 10-1. The Cardinals lead it, and we've played 7 innings. Here is today's game reset, brought to you by Singular. Singular is now the new AT&T. Been a lot of Braden Looper and 2 rather large swings here tonight. Let's make it 3. The home run from Roland was the first of 3. The grand slam by Chris Duncan, and a 3-run shot the opposite way by Albert. But on the other end, it's easy to overlook the pitching done by Braden Looper. He got a lot of run support, but that came later on in the game. Brendan Ryan takes over at third base. And Jason Isringhausen, is on the mound with Ludwig in the game in right. So the Cardinals taking the same type of advantage with getting a chance for their bench guys to get some work here tonight as well.
And Taguchi is in center field.
Here's Izzy's first pitch to Ryan Theriot. High for ball 1. So you got Schumacher, who didn't start the game in left. Taguchi, who didn't start, just into the game in center, and Ludwig is out in right. So Encarnacion and Edmonds get the rest of the night off, and the count's 2-0 Ontario. Now 3-0.
Boy, Izzy has been absolutely perfect pitching at home. 17 previous games, a 0.47 ERA, 1 earned run in 20 innings, 8 hits, 5 walks, 18 strikeouts.
There's a strike right down the middle.
Got a 4-game winning streak going. Got 19 saves and 21 appearances. Pitching the 8th inning here just to make sure he gets an inning of work.
That's flipped into right. Ludwig to his left. Got a nice jump on that ball. 1 out.
Well, I know you haven't seen a lot of Ludwig in the outfield, but he always gets good jumps, even as a center fielder. And
yeah, no, I mean, you look up and you're right. I haven't seen him a lot, but seeing it here as opposed to on TV, you can see how quick he reacts, and he got over there in a hurry.
Yeah, so he was a center fielder before some of the injuries he had, and just totally blew out his knee. But it's his bat. They got him back to the big leagues, but you're not afraid to put him any place in the outfield.
There's Jake Fox. First at bat for Fox. And that's high for ball 1.
Fox kind of a jack of all trades, catcher, play third, the corner outfielders, corner infield positions.
Fastball, foul tipped into the mid of Molina. 1 ball, 1 strike. I mean, I would imagine that as we approach the trading deadline with the Cardinals as far out as they are, if there is legit interest in anybody that the Cardinals have, and that shattered bat, a little pop up to the right side for Aaron Miles, Isringhausen would have to lead the list.
Well, I mean, yeah, other clubs are going to be inquiring about Jason, but can the Cardinals afford to give him up? They have hold an option for him next year. Who are you going to replace him with? So do you do yourself a disservice? You know what he can do. He wants to be here. He is still one of the best and most reliable closers in the National League or all of baseball. And if you let him go, you have to replace him with somebody next year. And who's that? You're going to take Wainwright out of the rotation?
Well, the other side of it is, for any team that's in contention that would be looking for a closer, closers come with pretty big price tags as far as players are concerned. So yeah, you're right. I mean, where do you go next year for the closer if Isringhausen is not here?
And let me carry it a step further. How can you be in contention if you don't have a closer?
Well, Wainwright wasn't bad.
Well, I know that, but your point being,
Depends on what the package is. I
Yeah,
mean, this Cardinal organization needs some young talent. Desperately.
I mean, I'm a fan of Chris Perez, who's at the AA level, closer out of University of Miami, but a very young pitcher, never pitched in AAA, and I wouldn't think that the Cardinals would feel comfortable taking a guy like that straight from AA and bringing him to the big league level for the first time and making him a closer. But he is going to be a major league pitcher, and soon.
Coy Hill fouls one straight back in the count 1-2. Isringhausen trying to make quick work of the Cubs here in the 8th.
A guy like Springer would be someone that has some value. I think particularly Franklin, now that you sign him to a 2-year contract with an option. I don't want to make him the closer. I like him as a setup man. But you've got to listen and see if you can improve your club.
That's into right center field. Coy Hill is on, adding to his 162 average.
He came up from AA, Joe, and interesting situation. He is the second player. I mean, remember they had the double play combination where at LSU. Well, Coy Hill was at Wichita State. I'm sorry. He was a third baseman, and then they switched him. But they have their Fox, who popped up. You know, he was at the University of Michigan with current Cubs pitcher Rich Hill. So they got 2 combinations of collegiate teammates.
Here's Cliff Lee now. Or Cliff Floyd, rather, with Isringhausen pitching out of the stretch. No holding on of the runner Coy Hill at first, with Pujols tucked back behind him, with Hill taking his lead, and Cliff Floyd, that one hurt. Strike 1.
Front foot, and right on the top. Instep Mark O'Neill, head trainer for the Cubs, will be out to talk to Cliff Floyd. 34 years and all. I'm sure he's done that many a time on the top of his foot, side of the foot, shin, ankle. Judy Buck probably knows what that feels like, right?
Oh, yeah, sure. That can't feel good, and Floyd is saying, man, it's 10-1. Everybody else is getting the night off the rest of the night, and here I am fouling balls off my front foot.
Trying to hit with my eyes watering. Randy Flores warming up, so they'll start the 9th, or things get a little out of hand here, they'll bring him in.
And that's right through the infield defense, with Aaron Miles pulled over to his left. And Eckstein up the middle, couldn't get to it. Floyd is on, back-to-back hits. And let's watch Floyd run after that foul tip that hit off his foot moments ago. So 2 out, runners at the corners, and the batter is Fontenot. Mike is hitless on the night, 0 for 3. Struck out, fly to center, bounced out to the first baseman, and that one got away from Isringhausen.
You never like to take your closer out of a game when you're trying to give him a little bit of work and a lopsided score. But you also want to make sure his pitch count is down for
and that'll help. Should end the inning. Miles takes care of it. Hopefully Isringhausen will be busy all weekend with Milwaukee in town. 4 games in 3 days. Bottom of the 8th, 10-1, St. Louis. Michael Wirtz has been busy this season for the Cubs. 48th game. 2-2 record, and he is the 4th pitcher of the night. Marquis, Petrick, Ullman, and now Michael Wirtz with the top of the lineup. Scheduled to hit, that's Eckstein. Then Taguchi. Taguchi batting the number 2 spot where Jim Edmonds started. It's 10-1, bottom of the 8th. Cardinals having fun tonight, avoiding the sweep, which is good news. As we mentioned earlier, the Cubs hadn't swept a 3-game series here in St. Louis since 1988. And a Ron Santo jersey on that Cub fan.
The original's up here and doing pretty well.
There he is.
There he is, Ron.
Eckstein out in front of it, clunks it over to third, and Cedeno makes a good play.
It's Jake Fox receiving the ball from Cedeno at first base, and Hill stays in the game to play right.
I believe it's this year that the Cubs organization retired Ron Santo's number.
It's a little satisfaction that that number retired and still flies, and one flies on the flagpole. And I think the great Ernie Banks is long overdue, but he's going to get a statue at Wrigley Field. It's up to the Veterans Committee now to see if Ron Santo gets into the Hall of Fame. And we have to hope for Ronnie's sake that that happens while he's still on this earth.
Absolutely. His usual play-by-play partner, Pat Hughes, is sick and back at the hotel. Glad I know that now. I shook his hand before the game.
Well, that's wonder where he ate today, because he thinks he got a little food poisoning.
Really? Do we have any antibacterial wash up here in the booth? You and Dan keep any of that up here handy?
It's in the bathroom.
Okay. 1 ball, 2 strikes. So Taguchi, 1 out. Two and 2. Michael Wirtz, his first inning of work. 2-2 pitch to So Taguchi is headed in, and a ground ball to the shortstop. Terrio makes the play. Low throw, and Fox can't dig it out. Taguchi will end up at second with 1 away.
So that's Terrio's second error of the season, and now both of them have come against the Cardinals. He had played 46 straight games without committing an error. His first one was April 27th here at St. Louis, and now he commits his second at the shortstop position.
Here's Albert Pujols.
Made a couple, I think, in other positions.
The Cubs have 3 guys they list as catcher on their roster, and all 3 are in the game. Albert has hit a 3-run home run. Thought that pitch was high, but it's called strike 1. Coy Hill is out in right. First baseman is Jake Fox, and Jason Kendall's behind the plate. That's slashed into left field for a base hit, and add another RBI to the total for Albert Pujols. That's 65.
Why Albert never wants to come out of a game, because there's always the potential of getting another bat and doing something. In a 5 RBI night for Albert Pujols, and hit by a pitch, a 3-run home run, and now he gets this one. Stays up enough, goes out and reaches it, hooks it into left field for his 5th RBI. So, man is driven and possessed.
1 on, 1 out. Schumacher, double play ball, room service hop for Fontenot. 4-6-3 on the Twin killing. 11-1 as Pujols has a 4 RBI night. 9th inning. Cubs coming up.
Cardinals baseball on FSN Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser, who thanks you for being a designated driver. By Chevrolet, meet the all-new Silverado 2007 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. See for yourself, shop and compare at stlchevy.com. And by Advanced Auto Parts, providing car care know-how to protect your investment. We're ready in advance. Now the Cardinals were ready for this one, as Braden Looper gave him a great 7 innings, only a A solo home run by Derek Lee, the only scoring against Braden, and Izzy had a 2-hit but shutout inning in the 8th inning, and now Randy Flores will take over in the 9th inning. Got Jock Jones, Jason Kendall, and Ronnie Cedeno appearing for the 45th time. 1-0, ERA 4.63, 35 innings, nearly a strikeout per inning, and needs some work.
And because of that, here he is in his first pitch, down and away to Jock Jones. He has walked tonight 0 for 2, and the next from Flores is on the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Send down Troy Kate. Maroff had been in the bullpen. The second left-hander, but he will be making the start tomorrow night. Tyler Johnson was supposed to throw again today. That'll be the second time since we've come back, and he could, being a lefty specialist, I mean, they could almost activate him at any time.
Not in front of the plate, and it hops foul.
Or they could send him down on a rehab just to make sure that he would only need an appearance or 2. Randy Flores has been here all season long. He's done a good job. I'm thinking Randy, probably the only thing he's a little disappointed in is inherited runners to score is a little bit high.
So far, so good for Randy against Jock Jones. 1-2 pitch. There's another strikeout. Retired him 5 times, 4 times via the strikeout. 1 away here in the 9th.
Where Molina set out, it looks like he's completely outside the batter's box, and Randy throws it right out there, and Jock Jones goes after the off-speed pitch and comes up empty.
Now it's Jason Kendall with Ronnie Cedeno on deck. Kendall takes ball 1.
Couple hits. He's got his average up to 167. Started the season a very slow note for Oakland. Had a little push at the end to get it about 220. And then he had only 1 hit as a Cubby until the 2 tonight.
So the Cubs were looking for some veteran to take over after the trade of Barrett. That's easy for the shortstop Eckstein. David's had a good night tonight, hasn't he? Couple of hits, a good bunt. Good work defensively, and with the Cardinals up by 10, 2 out, nobody on, and ice cream for those 2.
Looper went out and had a 1-2-3 first inning. And then David Eckstein tried to be a one-man wrecking crew in the first inning. Didn't score, but got a base hit, stole the base, tagged up aggressively, went to third, got stranded there. But I think he set the tone for this ball club along with Looper.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. He really did. He came out firing, and those 2 put the Cardinals on the road to victory tonight. Looper will get to 8-8, 7 innings, 1 run, 5 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. And the Cubs are down to their final strike. Finally, the Cardinal fans have something to cheer about and celebrate here at home against the Cubs.
The first victory against the Cubs in 07 in 5 tries.
A foul tip keeps this game going.
Good credit to Scott Berry. You mentioned the young umpire back behind the plate, and very few questions from either team with his umpiring today.
Hard hit, game over. Ryan stabs it, and the Cardinals win it 11-1. Eckstein, the table setter and the tone setter for the Cardinals tonight. A 10-run victory for the Cardinals, 11-1. Back in a moment.